Hey guys, I know that Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 ReMIX has been out for quite a while now, let alone Final Mix, but I thought that I'd make a semi-ish quick guide on how to get the new synthesis stones that are required for like some of the new equipment and weapons. I've also included timestamps on each section where I'll be talking about each stone or material. So if you're just looking for a specific stone or material or certain stones or materials, you can go ahead and just open up the description and just click on them and continue on from there. But if you're just looking for general basics on how to actually farm the special Heartless and get the special materials, the very first thing that I would recommend that you get is Encounter Plus, which is a special ability that you can get after synthesizing 15 items from the synthesis shop. And I've actually heard mixed responses where people really don't see the increased spawn rate of the special Heartless, but in fact, I actually think it's pretty helpful myself. So it's entirely up to you whether you equip it on Sora or not. I would also strongly recommend that you equip the Lucky Strike ability on any of your characters. Sora unlocks it at certain levels, and I believe it's level 24 if you chose the shield at the beginning, level 48 with the rod, or if you're like me, it's level 90 with the sword, so that's a pretty long time, but luckily, Donald learns Lucky Strike at 44, and Goofy also learns Lucky Strike at level 24. And some of the NPCs, I think, Aladdin, Ariel, and Peter Pan have Lucky Strike equipped as a default ability as well. So if you're farming in those certain worlds, then you should definitely bring Aladdin, Ariel, or Peter Pan onto your team if you don't have Lucky Strike on both characters. Also, one final thing to note, if you're trying to get the special Heartless to spawn, or respawn rather, you'll want to move 2 screens back, not 1 screen. The magic number is 2 in this game, and I'm actually not entirely sure why, but 1 screen will not do the trick, so you'll have to move 2 and then go back to where it's supposed to spawn. You'll want to head to Halloween Town and head towards the Manor Ruins. And once you're at the bridge, one special trick that I use is to jump off the bridge and to check the red Trinity symbol on the arch at the bottom of the bridge, and that helps me determine whether the Chimera will spawn or not. If you see the red Trinity symbol on the arch, then it means that the Chimera will not spawn and you'll have to go back a few screens and come back in. Apparently this is not 100% foolproof, but I'm not entirely sure, but just be warned with this. The Chimera will spawn right after you fight, I think it's 3 different waves of White Knights, and the Chimera has 2 sets of HP bars. One is for when it's active, or rather attacking you, and then the second one is its actual health. And this is his second state where there's all these colored heads slash balls, I guess, flying everywhere. Basically, just to bring the Chimera down, you'll have to eliminate its health when it's actively attacking you. And then once their health is gone in that first set, you'll have to actually deflect the colored heads that are flying everywhere. The best way to do this is with Aroga or even Aurora, because with either one of those 2 spells, they'll deflect the heads and you'll get tech points along with increasing the chances of getting stones dropped. But once it gets back up, it'll spawn 4 gargoyles and you'll definitely want to take care of those first before re-attacking the Chimera. But basically this whole special Heartless battle is rinse and repeat. Make a stop at Neverland and disembark at the cabin hold. And you'll want to head up to the deck, and the special Heartless for the Dazzling Stones is the Jet Balloon. And it's pretty similar to the red-orange Aqua Tank and the Divers in Atlantica. The main thing that you'll want to keep in mind with this Heartless is that it's fast and it will shoot Heartless at you to keep Sora away. The best thing to do with this Heartless is to counter those Heartless with Eroga, as it deflects the missile divers and it doesn't really do damage to Sora, nor he doesn't really get slowed down by the divers. So this one's pretty straightforward. The only thing that you have to really keep in mind is to be careful, because if it drops the Dazzling Stones into water, they're gone forever and you'll have to refarm it. And so the best thing to do is to equip Treasure Magnet on Sora or any of your allied characters. Go to Hall of Bastion and you can disembark at either two places. The first place that you can disembark at is the Castle Chapel, and you can head towards the Grand Hall, which is a place that you fight one-on-one with Riku. Or you can also disembark at the library and head towards the entrance hall, which is where Sora gets his Keyblade back. The special Heartless for the Energy Stone is the Stealth Soldier, and its name pretty much indicates its behavior. It's invisible and it's super fast, and it'll also spawn with other enemies. The best way to take the Stealth Soldier down is to cast Aurora or even Eroga and Stop. Plus with Stop you can either just attack it, or you can take the time to heal yourself or just get ready before it attacks again. But the key thing with these things is to be careful, because these things really do chip at your health and you can die pretty fast if you're not prepared. At Monstral, you'll want to head to the Stomach, which is where you fought the Parasite Cage the second time. And the special Heartless for the Frost Stones is the Grand Ghost. And the only way to damage this special Heartless is to heal it with HP healing items. So potions, high potions, I think mega potions, I could be wrong, and elixirs will work on the Grand Ghost. And the better the healing items you give it, the greater chance it'll drop the Frost Stones. I personally just used high potions because I have like 40 of those or so usually. The only things that you'll really want to watch out for are the stomach acid and the attacks that it blows. Also, if you're out of healing items, it will drop them at some point, but I'm actually not entirely sure what triggers this. But just to be on the safe side, I would totally equip as many potions or high potions or elixirs or mega potions as you can. For Fury Stones, you'll want to go to Wonderland and disembark at the Queen's Castle, and from there head to the Bazaar Room. Now if you see Shadow Heartless appearing, that means that you've triggered the Giga Shadow Heartless, which means that the Giga Shadow has a chance of dropping the Fury Stone. There are waves of Shadow Heartless that you have to go through, and once those waves are eliminated, you can fight the Giga Shadows, which are just large versions of the regular Shadow Heartless. And there have been people saying that if you get hit by either, I think, a Giga Shadow and not a regular Shadow, the Heartless / chance for a Fury Stone drop disappears. But I've been hit once or twice, I think, in this video, and so I still got a Fury Stone out of it, so I'm not entirely sure. But to be safe than sorry, you should definitely cast Aurora / Eroga and just start bashing away at Heartless so that the chance of that happening is almost eliminated. For the Lightning Stones, you'll want to head to the Deep Jungle and head towards the Bamboo Thicket from the camp. The special Heartless for the Lightning Stone is the Black Ballad, and there is no actual fighting, quote-unquote, for the special Heartless. The way to get the Lightning Stone is pretty much similar to the Shell game, which is a gambling game that is played on the streets. If you hit the right one, you'll get a tech point and some HP balls and money, but if you hit the wrong one, you'll get struck with lightning. And you'll want to do this 4 times before it actually drops a lightning stone. And the easiest way to determine which one is the real one is to pause in between its shuffling. Navigate to Agrabah and head towards the palace gates from probably Aladdin's home/hideout. And if you see 12 pots arranged in a 3x4 fashion, this means that you've triggered the pot scorpion encounter, which is the special heartless that drops the Mythril Stone. To increase your chances of getting more Mythril Stones, you'll want to destroy the pots that don't contain the pot scorpion, which are basically empty pots. The best way to determine whether a pot is empty or not is to determine if they're movable or walk into them, and if you can move them in any way, then it means that's empty. So go ahead and destroy it, but otherwise, if you encounter a pot that's not empty and it can't be moved, then that contains a pot scorpion. Once you destroy the 11th pot, which is the last empty pot, you'll receive, I think, about 100 tech points and a chance to drop a Mythril Stone in that pot. And once that's done, you'll want to destroy the pot scorpion's pot to activate the battle. Keep in mind that it can't be damaged regularly with regular attacks. You'll want to use Eroga or Guard to deflect its attacks, which basically renders it vulnerable to attacks. Basically, you'll land a few hits and then it'll get back up and you'll have to rinse and repeat the process. I find that the best way to just deflect its attacks is to use Eroga because I have the worst timing with Guard, but that's just my 2 cents. You can still use Guard and it'll just work fine. But Eroga is probably the easiest way to kill the pot scorpion and to get the Mythril Stones. At Traverse Town, disembark at the 1st district and head towards the 2nd district. Now, the Heartless that actually drops these Power Stones are probably one of the hardest special Heartlesses to get drops from. I consider it almost as difficult as getting drops from the pink Agaricus for the Serenity Powers. There are multiple ways to take the Sniper Wilds down. The most common method that I've seen is to spam Stopra or Stopka and to have a lot of magic for it to be really effective. I've also heard of people summoning Mushu or Dumbo just to eliminate the Sniper Wilds quickly without being detected. The method that I've discovered though I think is pretty efficient. It's difficult to get detected, but you do need a handful of ethers, preferably equipped, although you can probably run away from battle for a little bit and just use ethers from the main menu there. But what you'll really want to do is to enter the 2nd district from the 1st district, preferably. And if you see a Sniper Wild in the center, hug the right side of the wall and jump onto the roof. And from there, lock onto the Sniper Wild and wait until it gets in range. And once it gets in range, spam Thundaga until it's dead. And then it'll spawn 2 more Sniper Wilds, and then once those 2 are dead, it'll spawn 3 more. And then once you destroy those 3, it'll have a chance to drop the Power Stone. And this 1, 2, 3 cycle repeats 5 times. One thing that you'll really want to keep in mind though is that if your controller vibrates at all, that means that you've been spotted, and that means that there's absolutely no point in continuing farming since they most likely will not drop Power Stones anymore and you'll most likely die. So it's better to just get out and then go back another extra screen, then come back in and continue farming. The pink Agaricus spawns in 2 worlds, Atlantica and Deep Jungle. Atlantica personally is not the best place to farm the pink Agaricus for the Serenity Powers, so you'll definitely want to head to the Deep Jungle and disembark at the tunnel and make your way to the treehouse. Now, to get the pink Agaricus to spawn, you'll want to cast Stop on all 3 of the white mushrooms that appear on the map, and the pink agaricus will spawn in the center of the treehouse. The 3 mushrooms spawn in various places, and some are really difficult to find, but I've tried to include as many of the places that I know of in this video, but otherwise if there's a spot that I've missed, the best thing to do is play Marco Polo or Hot and Cold with the action menu and change your camera angles and play around with the lock button. That's the only suggestion I have at this point if I've missed one. Once the pink agaricus spawns, you'll need to land at least 40 hits after casting Stalk. And keep in mind that teammates cannot hit the pink agaricus, otherwise the number of hits total will be subtracted by each hit that your teammate lands. So this means that you'll have to hide your teammates, and there is a little way to actually hide your teammate. The best thing to do is to get them to hide behind a wall near the pink agaricus. The best wall, in my opinion at least, is on the side that has the long ladder that goes to the very top of the roof on the outside. You'll also want to play around with the camera angle a little bit just to make sure that both of them are on that ledge with the ladder. Once they're there, go ahead and summon Bambi to restore your MP and head over to the pink agaricus, and before you dismiss Bambi, face the wall where you last saw your teammates, which is basically face the side of the wall where you saw your teammates at last before you summon Bambi, which is basically where the ladder is. Once you dismiss Bambi, you'll want to cast Eroga on yourself and lock onto the head of the pink agaricus and not the body, because if you lock onto the head you can use Ragnarok if you have it equipped, which really helps, and it is only activated if you target someone that's in the air. But go ahead and cast off, use Ragnarok while getting close to the pink agaricus for Eroga to actually damage the pink agaricus. And it should hopefully drop some Serenity Powers. Sometimes it doesn't, but if you get at least 40 hits, it should have a chance for it to drop. And from personal experience, if you don't really have Eroga, or maybe even Arrow, I'm not entirely sure, you'll barely be able to get 40 hits. And so you'll really want to increase your chances of the pink agaricus dropping a Serenity Power. The Stormy Stones can be found by going to the end of the world and disembarking at Final Rest. And from there you'll want to head to the last room that has all the Heartless right before the save point. Unfortunately, there really isn't much of a strategy that I can offer with the Neo Shadows. They're pretty straightforward to kill. The only thing that you really need to be careful about is that they can team up pretty quickly, and they also grab Sword by the ankle sometimes, which means that he can't move and he's vulnerable. So the best thing to do is just roll around or glide or cast Aurora/Eroga when needed, and the Neo Shadows should just go down pretty quickly.